Welcome to Newsmax Now and our special report on Donald Trump's immigration speech. Trump recently headed to Phoenix to speak about immigration, border security, foreign policy, and issues that are sure to dominate the 2016 presidential campaign. He highlighted the reasons he's been climbing in the polls. Let's listen in as the Donald wows the friendly audience.
This is absolutely unbelievable. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. So this began as 500 people in a ballroom in Phoenix. And the hotel called us up and they said, please don't do it here. We're going to be swamped. It's going to destroy the building. It's been amazing. And outside, sadly, we have thousands of people that can't get in. So you know real estate. You know real estate. I want to thank everybody. You know, last night, and a lot of you saw it on television, it was actually carried live, we had an amazing event, and a very sad event, and yet very beautiful. Because the word is getting out that we have to stop illegal immigration. We have to. We have to. We have a situation that's absolutely out of control. We have incompetent politicians, not only the president. I mean, right here in your own state, you have John McCain. I just hate to see when people don't have common sense, don't have an understanding of what's going on, or perhaps don't want to know. Maybe it's campaign contributions, maybe it's special interests, maybe it's lobbyists. But for some reason, some people don't get it, and I don't think they'll be in office much longer. I really mean that. We are going to make this country so great again. We are going to work. We are going to work so hard. And I will say this. When we had our event last night, I saw hardened veteran reporters who were crying. You had to see this. People that I've known for a long time, that I don't even like. They're not good people. How you doing back there? And one in particular, tears are streaming down his face, and I'm saying, I don't believe what I'm saying. I didn't think he had a tear in him. And some of the people that spoke were absolutely amazing. One, their child was killed by an illegal immigrant, shouldn't have been here. And this really began for me. It's very interesting because when I started and when they announced, don't forget, everybody said, he's never going to run, right? Then they said very strongly, you know, these are real knowledgeable people. They don't know anything. Then they said, he'll never file his FEC paper. Well, I filed that 2 weeks ago. They said, oh, wow. Then they said, he'll never file his financials, because he's not as rich as people think. And they get filed during this week. And by the way, some of the other candidates will not be filing from what I hear, okay? And when they file, the number is actually much higher than anybody ever knew. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm only saying that because that is the kind of thinking our country needs. We need thinking where trade deals with China, with Japan, with India, with everybody. We're getting ripped. We're being taken apart piece by piece, slowly. Slowly. China laughs at us. They laugh at our stupidity. They laugh at our incompetent politicians. They have geniuses negotiating for them. We have people that don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. Mexico, and by the way, officially, and I've only said this about 200 times, but it never gets reported. I love the Mexican people. I love the spirit of the Mexican people. I love them. Many, many people from Mexico, legal. They went in the old-fashioned way. They're legal. Many, many people from Mexico work for me. And over the years, thousands of people, Hispanics, have worked for me. And many, many work for me now. But thousands. They're incredible people. By the way, nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says that. They always cut that out. And I'll go a step further. I respect Mexico greatly as a country. But the problem we have is that their leaders are much smarter, sharper, and more cunning than our leaders, and they're killing us at the border, and they're killing us in trade. They're killing us. And every once in a while, I'll see a rally, and it's put up by the Mexican government, in my opinion. People come in, they're so perfect. They're like central casting. And you know how long the rallies last? Like about 12 minutes. They go home. But when you do, and I've said this often, it's very, very hard for a very successful person, and I've heard it from the time I was a little boy, to run for president or even political office. And I find it, and I have headlines every day. ESPN drops Trump. A friend of mine in Paris called, "Oh, Don, it's too bad about ESPN." You know what they were doing? They rented my golf club for a day. They put up a big deposit. I took their deposit, and then I rented it to somebody else. I made two for the price of one. No, it's true. Then the next day, all over the world, NASCAR drops Trump. No, NASCAR. And then friends of mine call up from Europe. It's headlines, NASCAR. Don, it's too bad about NASCAR. I feel so. You know what that one was? They rented a banquet hall at Trump National Doral in Miami for one evening. I took their deposit. I took their deposit, and you know what? I just rented it for much more money than they were paying. So it's two for the price of one. You know, I may make money running for president. It's very interesting. Then all over the place, I hear Macy's. Now, Macy's hurts because the head of Macy's, I thought was a great friend of mine, Terry Lundgren. Nice guy. He called me up, and I'm in New Hampshire, and I'm getting ready to go on to make a speech. Sort of interesting. It's like 6:30 in the evening, and I get a call from Terry Lundgren at Macy's. And the speech is packed. Packed. It's a house. It was supposed to be in the house. They didn't have enough room. They had 300-400 people, and they never thought this was going to happen. They thought there were going to be 30, like this. This is a little larger, but the same thing proportionately. So my phone rings, my cell phone, and it's Terry Lundgren of Macy's. And the man on stage is getting ready to introduce me. And he said, and you know, we have Donald Trump, the American dream, and all blah, 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 everything. And my phone rings during the introduction. I'm going to be going up there like in a minute. And he goes, Donald, hi. It's like my best friend. I said, Terry, what's your problem? He said, you're very controversial. Can you believe it? He said, He said, now I'm supposed to be going up, I'm supposed to make a speech. I got all these people. And by the way, cameras, just like you have all these cameras. We're live television all over the place like we are now. And he said, Donald, I had calls from Hispanic people saying they're going to boycott Macy's. I don't know what to do. I said, Terry, be tough. They'll be gone. One day. One day. Now, this is a man that I played golf with. I'm with him all the time. I mean, really was, you understand? Because I don't forget things. I don't forget. He said to me, please, Donald, can I cut you? It's not a big deal. I'm selling ties. And you know what? Honestly, they were made in China, so I didn't care that much. I was So I'm walking up the stairs to make a speech, and I have Lundgren saying, I'd like to cut you because he's going to get some bad publicity, he thinks. And I walk upstairs, and he said, and now the American dream. And I'm still talking to Lundgren, and it's like a minute and a half before I walk on stage. People say, what happened? And I made a good speech. No notes, no nothing. And everybody was happy. And I just got cut from Macy's. And here's the bottom line on Macy's. Thousands and thousands of people are cutting up their Macy's credit card. I love it.
We'll have more of Donald Trump's immigration speech from Phoenix when we come right back. Is Donald Trump simply trying to get more publicity, or could he really be the best man for the White House in 2016? Let's take a listen to more of his speech from Phoenix.
I'm more inclusive than anybody. More inclusive than anybody. I then get a call, Univision. Now, Univision controls, and by the way, believe me, Univision has a certain power. Now, I didn't know much about Univision. I thought they were very wealthy. They're actually not wealthy at all. They're highly over-levered. They've got, like, I think $10 billion in debt. They have to do an IPO. Now, how stupid is this? They could have waited a couple of weeks, done their IPO, and been done. Instead, they do it early. They couldn't do it fast enough. Because you know why? In my opinion, it's only my opinion, the Mexican government totally tells Univision, it's about 80% of their market, 70% of them, totally tells Univision what to do. Totally. So the Mexican government is not happy with me, to put it mildly. And again, I respect Mexico, but their leaders are too smart for our leaders, because we have stupid leaders. Mexico, I respect the country. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our manufacturing. They're taking our money. They're taking everything, and they're killing us on the border. And Mexico does not like it. So remember this. Don't worry, we'll take our country back very soon. Very soon. So the other day, you know, it's funny, I got a great review for a speech, including my opening speech when I announced I'm running for president. It wasn't until 5 days later that people started saying, oh, he said something wrong. What they don't say is they cut it in the middle of the sentence. They cut it. Because those people, many of them, not all, some are great, but many of them are very dishonest people, meaning the press. Very dishonest. Very dishonest. I'll give you one quick example, because I want to bring somebody up for a second who's fantastic. But I'll give you one quick example. I say, and it's fairly standard because I believe it strongly, the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and stronger and better than ever before. Right? Right? So, and I say it usually once during a speech. Every once in a while I won't. You know, I don't use teleprompters like the president. I speak from the heart. So I say the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it it's standard, but I'm going to make it bigger, better, stronger than ever before. Okay. So now I go home, my wife says to me, darling, that was such a tough statement. What? I turn on the television. The American dream is dead. Period. Cut. I said, oh, what a horrible statement. They are so dishonest. They are so dishonest. And then I hear, like, Donald Trump doesn't deserve to be on the same stage with some failed senator, failed governor, or something. It's sort of amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? And the poll just came out, and I'm tied with Jeb Bush. And I said, oh, that's too bad. How can I be tied with this guy? He's terrible. He's terrible. He's weak on immigration. You know, the sanctuary cities. Do you know he had 5 of them in Florida while he was governor? Can you believe this? I didn't know that. 5 of them. He's totally in favor of Common Core, meaning your children in Phoenix and other places are going to be educated by bureaucrats from Washington who, for the most part, just want to pick up a check. Give me a break. And he's in favor. I don't see him as a factor, and I know it's the Bush name, which, you know, got us into lots of words. I mean, in all fairness, not the greatest. But Jeb Bush, I don't get it. So when they said, Mr. Trump, you're in first place. Oh, that's good. You're tied with Jeb Bush. I said, that's not good. How could I be tied with this guy?
Still ahead, Donald Trump talks about how the U.S. is losing both at the border and in the trade wars. Say what you want about Donald Trump, he is a definite crowd pleaser. Here's more of his recent speech from Phoenix, Arizona.
You have in San Francisco a beautiful young woman, Kate, and killed by somebody that just pleaded innocent. First pleaded guilty, now he has a good lawyer, and went into court and pleaded innocent. And they'll be playing around with him for about 15 years in court, and probably he'll get off too. It's a horrible thing that's going on with our country. And these are 2 people that should be alive, and these are people that shouldn't have been in this country. They flow in like water. And I love legal immigration. I love it. I love it. I think it's great. My wife is a legal immigrant. I mean, she went through a whole long process. It's not easy. And we should maybe make it easier and faster, which I think is fine. And we'll have great people come in. And we'll have them come in from all countries. Mexico, every place. These are great people. And you know, one of the things that I've seen, somebody says, well, because it's been an amazing week. And, you know, it's been like an incredible week, because I thought I was going to be the jobs person. Because every poll, CNN did a poll the other day, I'm killing everybody on jobs. I'm killing everybody on leadership. You know, like, it's like funny. I was like, you know, I went through these different the only thing I'm not killing, a lot of people don't like me. I said, what difference does it make? This is about competence. Somebody said, you win on leadership by far. You win on absolute economic, financial, anything having to do with the economy. You like lapping the field much, much higher than anybody else. But they said, but a lot of people don't know whether or not they like me. I'm actually a nice person. But I actually said, if I'm winning in these categories, why are we even going through primaries? Hillary Clinton's going to be a horrible president. It's horrible. If she even wins her own primary, which I don't know. And by the way, just so you understand, even the press will say, this crowd today blows away anything that Bernie Sanders has had. That I can tell you. But if you think about it, Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of our country. The worst. The world blew up around her. Our enemies are a disaster. Our friends, and they hate us more. Our friends are all gone. They're all gone. They're all sort of like, we don't get along with anybody. Everybody's ripping us off. Whether it's Russia or China. You know what we've done? For 20 years, I've heard the worst thing that could happen would be if Russia and China start uniting. We've united them because we did things that were very onerous, because Obama doesn't like Putin, and Putin doesn't respect or like Obama. And all of a sudden, Russia and China now are doing all sorts of things together. So we've driven them together. And I've always heard that's a disaster. And it is a disaster. We have driven them. So Hillary Clinton was the worst. Now tell me something. Why? Just tell me, why would she be a good president? She'd be terrible. Who would you rather have negotiating a deal, a trade deal, with anybody? Trump or Hillary? Well, we have to get there first. So, who would you rather have negotiating a really good deal with? Mexico, China, Japan, Trump, or Jeb Bush? So, when I started, I really thought it would be, a long slog, and I was okay with it. I didn't think that the immigration thing would take on a life like it has. I made some very tough statements about people flowing through, because that's one of the things to make our country great again. We have to create borders, otherwise we don't have a country. So it's one of many things. And I've been very strong on it. It's one of many things. We have to make great trade deals and all. So I said strong borders, one of the things. I said trade deals. Who would do better? I'll tell you what. I know the greatest negotiators in the world. Some are horrible people, horrible human beings. Who cares? Some Wall Street guys, they're brutal, they're miserable. You wouldn't want to go out to dinner. They're terrible people. I love them. I know the best. I know people that are totally overrated. They're not good like they think and like the press thinks. I know people that you never heard of that are better than all of them. I would take one, put her in charge of Japan. Good luck. You know who's our primary representative right now? Carolyn Kennedy. You know how she got the job? 60 Minutes. She went to the White House. She said, I'd love to have a job. I have nothing to do. They said, how would you like to be the ambassador to Japan? She goes, really?
We'll have more of this speech from Donald Trump coming up next.
A friend of mine is a great excavator. That's what he does. He digs foundations. He digs lots of dirt, earth. But he's a great excavator, big. And he always bought Caterpillar. And he calls me up recently and he goes, I'm a little depressed. Why? I just put in a big order for machinery, for excavating equipment. I said, oh, that's good. Did you buy Caterpillar? No, I bought Komatsu. I said, you bought Komatsu? It's fine. It's a well-known brand. I said, you bought Komatsu, why? He said, because Japan, this is very recently, has so devalued the yen, brilliant, smart, these are smart people, that it made it impossible for me to buy Caterpillar tractors. I owe it to my family, I owe it to my employees, I owe it to myself. I have to do what's right for my company. So it made it impossible. So he ordered Komatsu instead of Caterpillar. This is happening all over the place. Today, in the Wall Street Journal, big story, Ford going to build tremendous plants all over the place overseas. Ford, by the way, speaking of Mexico, again, I respect them. I wish we had smart people. Ford is building a $2.5 billion plant. Who ever heard of this? $1 billion plant, $2.5 billion in Mexico. Now, here's the story. Now think of it. So I'm saying to myself, that's not good. And in addition to that, in Tennessee, a big plant, $1.2 billion, was going to be built in Tennessee, Wall Street Journal. And all of a sudden, the last moment, they decide to go to Mexico. It's going to be built now in Mexico by a big German car company. And Tennessee is great. And the people were great. They all thought they had it. And in the last month, goes to Mexico. So I said to myself, wow, $2.5 billion. And they're going to make cars and trucks and parts. And they're going to send them into the United States. No tax, no nothing. Now, I told you, I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I'm like a really smart person. My uncle was a perfect Dr. John Trump, was at MIT, one of the smartest people, great engineer, great, like, smart, right? For many years he was at MIT. And I'm saying to myself, where does this help us for Ford to build a plant in Mexico and then sell without tax? No tax. All it means is one thing, that we don't build a plant in the United States, whether it's in Phoenix or anywhere, it's being built in Mexico. You're right. That one I like. So I said to myself, okay, Jeb Bush is president, and he knows it's the wrong thing. Right now we have Obama. He won't call. He doesn't even call to get our hostages back from Iran. Here we are in the middle of a deal, and he doesn't call about that. One sentence, I'd say, you got to, before we start, get those people back. Used to be 3, now it's 4. Get those people. They'd be back the next hour. You need the right messenger. The Iran deal is a disaster. The Iran deal is a disaster. They're begging. Our chief negotiator at 73 is in a bicycle race. He falls and breaks his leg. This is the mentality we have. So I said, what would Jeb Bush do to get... Benghazi. You're right, Benghazi, another Benghazi. You hear our politicians, John McCain, 2 days, oh, Benghazi, you don't hear about it anymore. Hillary Clinton with emails, oh, the emails, 2 days. I'm more disappointed in the Republicans in many ways. They talk and talk and talk. So, Jeb Bush, let's say he's president. So let's say Jeb Bush is president. He knows it's no good to have a $2.5 billion plant built right near our country. Well, how does it help us, right? So here's what happens. He knows it's no good. He'll have a little pressure. Don't let the plant be built. And he might even say, don't let the plant be built. Might even call the head of Ford. The plant's not going to be built. And then the next day, he'll be called by special interests that supported him, his lobbyists who push him around like a piece of candy, or his donors who have stock in Ford. And they'll say, you can't do that. I helped you. You can't hurt them. You just can't do it. He folds in about 2 seconds. So let me say Trump is president. Okay? Let me say Trump. So I don't need anybody's money. Actually, people are setting up PACs all over the place. I don't care. If they want to give it to me, I'll take it, okay? But I don't need money. I don't want money. So I'm doing my own. You'll see that on Thursday or whatever the hell day I file. You'll see I did really well. Much better than anyone ever thought. Just the opposite. So here's the story. So Trump is president. So I'll get a call from the head of Ford. And I'll say, you got to build in the United States. Sorry. They'll say, but Mr. President, really, we don't want to. I say, here's the story. Number one, congratulations on your new plant in Mexico. And number two, we're going to charge you 35% for every car, truck, and part you send over.
We'll have more of this speech from Donald Trump coming up next.
We have totally incompetent people. Now, some people say they're bad people. I don't think they're that smart to be bad people. I just think, honestly, I mean, a lot of people get angry when I say, I don't think they're bad. I think they're stupid. I think they're incompetent. So we've got to take our country back. We've got to get rid of Obamacare. We've got to repeal it and replace it with something good. And we have to take care. You know, I know this doesn't sound very conservative. We got to take care of everybody, not just the people up here. We got to take care of everybody. Okay? Get used to it, conservatives. I love you, conservatives. Get used to it. Let's take care of everybody, please. And by the way, Obamacare doesn't. And if you look at the premiums are going through the roof. The deductibles, frankly, you have to get hit with a Komatsu tractor in order to use them. They're so high. We can do it. You get rid of state lines, you put it out, you'll have great care for much less money, the country will spend much less, and we will take care of those people that can't do it. We have to. We have to take care of our veterans, because our veterans are treated like third-class citizens, and they're the greatest. Now, if you remember a few days ago, Bush was asked the simplest question: was Iraq a good thing or a bad thing? He couldn't give an answer. Took him 5 days before he said it was bad. Now think of this, 5 days. How can you have a guy like that negotiating for 5 days it took him? And finally he said it was bad. Okay, could have done it like in the first 3 seconds. But it took him 5 days. And if you think about it, we spent $2 trillion, lost thousands of lives, thousands. We have wounded warriors who I love all over the place. All over. They're amazing people. I mean, amazing people. So we have wounded warriors all over. We got nothing. And today, Iraq is meeting with Iran to do some kind of a merger. So in 2004, in Reuters, anybody from Reuters back there? I'm sure they are. There's an article in July of 2004. Trump said, don't invade Iraq. Now, I am more for the military, and I am the most militaristic person in this room. I would have a military that's so strong that we would never have to use it, because people would say, no way we're messing with them. No way we're messing with them. And I'd get along with Putin, and I'd get along with China. You know, China, largest bank in the world is in China. They're my tenant. I just renewed their lease. No, it's true. Who speaks worse about China than me? Now, I do it out of respect. But China, they just renewed their lease. We would never move to a building other than your building. They love it. But it's called respect. It's called respect. They respect smart things, smart people, smart deals. They have no respect for our country. So we're fighting wars, and we're backing all these stupid people that, honestly, I don't say they're stupid. They don't care, like the Iraqis. They have no love for the country. The leadership, there is no leadership, but let's assume they're all thieves. They're all terrible people, 100% corrupt. So we send to one of our so-called allies 2,300 Humvees. Now think of this. Normally you'd say like 3. How many are there? We sent 3. These are armor-plated Humvees. You can imagine what they cost. They don't even report it because it's probably so high that, it's another scandal, like the $5 billion website for Obamacare, right? So, which never worked and still doesn't work. So we send 2,300 Humvees. One bullet is fired in the air, and the people we gave the Humvees to flee, and the enemy takes them over. And they're better than the ones that our boys and women have, because they were the best. They're gone in one day. Remember Yemen, how we had the victory, the big victory? It turned out to be a false victory, because a few months later it was gone. If you think that those people, if you think that they want Yemen, take a look at a map with that long, beautiful border along Saudi Arabia. They want the oil. Do you remember what I said? And I get a lot of credit for this. They said, he's one guy, and I'm a very militaristic guy, but he's one guy that said, don't do Iraq, because you'll destabilize. And then Iran will take over, and then somebody else worse than Saddam Hussein will take over the rest. ISIS, worse than Saddam Hussein was never as bad as these people. These people are brutal. They're chopping off everybody's heads, especially if you happen to be Christian. They chop off your head. They dunk people with a cage. Did you see that? They dunk them and drown them. These people make Saddam Hussein look like a choir boy. Okay? And I said this in 2004. We're going to lose the oil. Okay. So now Bush goes in and he makes a mistake, and then Obama, frankly, might as well have stayed there, but okay. But he made a mistake too. And I said, keep the oil. Do you remember that? And everyone said, you can't keep the oil. It's a sovereign country. You can't keep the oil. I said, keep the oil. We're in there now. You blew it. You shouldn't have gone in. And every other candidate is fleeing. They're all trying to say, well, they didn't know. There was intelligence said this. They all said do it. I'm the only one that said no. I'm the only one that said no. Keep the oil, I said. I've been saying this for 2-3 years. Don't leave, keep the oil. Because if you don't get it, Iran will get it or somebody else is going to get it. So here's who has it. Iran is taking it, and ISIS has it. And ISIS now is building a hotel in Iraq. They're competing with me. Do you believe it?
We'll have more of this speech from Donald Trump coming up next.
Univision is doing the work of the Mexican government. And I don't blame the Mexican. I respect Mexico. I don't blame the Mexican government. I just wish our people were smart. Like, they're really smart doing that. They're sending them to us, and we're either putting them in jails or letting them go free, which is even worse. But we have to do something. So I had an idea. I said, every time an illegal comes to this country through the border, because Mexico is pushing them over. Remember that. And by the way, unbelievable people are coming. A lot of people that are illegal are great people. Just let's get it straight. They don't want to give it straight. Because the press are liars. They're terrible people. They're terrible people. Terrible. Not all of them, but many of them. But here's an idea. So Mexico is sending lots of people. And by the way, they're coming from all over the world, including the Middle East. Why not? Come in, come on in. We're stupid, we'll take care of you, we'll pay. You get sick, we'll take care of your hospitalization. What kind of a plan do you want? So I had an idea. I think it's good. Every time Mexico really intelligently sends people over, we charge Mexico $100,000 for every person they send over. Now, they make so much money that that's peanuts. It's not a lot. Could have made it much higher, but I'm nice. I'm in a good mood today. We charge Mexico $100,000 for every person. You'll see that it'll start to stop, because that starts to add up. It starts to add up. We have to secure our borders. We have to do something to take back our country. I mean, don't kid yourself, folks. What took place today, even by the dishonest press, what took place today is being seen all over the world. Look at all those cameras out there. This is being seen all over the world. People know. You know, it's a term I haven't heard for years, but I was thinking about it today. Thank you. It's a term that I haven't heard for years, but I really think it applies now more than maybe ever before. And that's the term, the silent majority. Have you all heard that? You don't hear it anymore. You don't hear it. When people start cutting up their credit cards at Macy's and won't go to Macy's anymore, when all of these things, and that's a big story, but nobody wants to write it, that's fine, I don't care about me. But when you see the kind of power that the silent majority has, and the silent majority is a problem. They want to go out, they want to lead a good life, they want to work hard, they want to have their family, they don't want to be involved in coming here and waiting on a line for hours and hours and coming in and listening to Trump. But the silent majority is back, and we're going to take the country back. And we are going to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this special presentation of Newsmax Now featuring Donald Trump's immigration speech. Stay tuned to Newsmax TV and visit our website, newsmax.com, for the latest in news 24 hours a day. I'm John Bach.